Today I'm going to walk through troubleshooting causes of long dry times on the LG washer dryer combo. This video is going to include proper maintenance, which can be the biggest cause of longer dry times, as well as how a heat pump dryer works, checking for proper installation, how to load it, and some controls and features that can increase your dry time that you might not be aware of. Let's get started. A conventional gas dryer uses an ignition system and comes to temperature rather quickly when a dry cycle is started. These dryers can range from like 120 degrees on a low or delicate cycle to some getting as hot as 170 degrees. Heat pump dryers don't require a vent and use a compressor that recirculates the heat in the drum, and that brings it slowly up to a set temperature. For this reason, you won't find an option on the combo for a low, medium, or high heat. Everything dries at the same low temperature except for delicates, which would be a little lower. Now that we understand drying better, let me dive into the maintenance on the machine. Some signs that you might want to do a deeper cleaning is if you start to notice your dry times are taking longer and longer than they previously were before. Let's start with cleaning the filter. This is probably something you already do, but you want to make sure to remove and clean this filter after every use. And while I have this removed, I'm going to check the mesh on the filter. All heat pump dryers have fine mesh filters to keep microfibers and fine lint from getting on the condenser. You want to have this be clear and see through it. You can see this one is pretty dirty with only a few lint-free patches. So I'm just going to rinse this with water to remove all the lint, and I'm going to clean it anytime I start to see that it's getting dirty. Make sure this dries out completely before reinserting the filter. Just a quick tip, laundry like towels can increase the production of microfibers. While the filters are removed, I'm going to check two more things that could be slowing down my dry time. That's the condenser and the vent cover by the inlet duct. LG recommends cleaning this every 10 cycles. I would just recommend cleaning it anytime you start to see signs of lint or slower drying performance as well. You might notice that you can't just pull this vent cover out. That's because the housing of the compressor is holding it in place. So we're going to remove the housing, which is held in by one screw. It probably has a small sticker covering it, which you can just peel off and discard. Unscrew the top and then push in the sides on the tab, and I can easily remove the side vent cover and have access to the condenser and remove the inlet duct filter. Look at all this lint that's behind the vent cover. I'm just going to remove all the lint around and any on the inside of the vent. In some models, to get to the vent cover will require the removal of all 6 screws, and then I take off the housing so I can access the inlet duct cover to clean. Next, I'm going to look at the condenser fins and see if that needs cleaning. Use a soft brush, which is not included, and brush up and down, not side to side. Going up and down and using a brush with soft bristles will help prevent denting the condenser fins, which are fragile, similar to fins on a window AC. While everything is disassembled, I'm going to take a vent brush and see if I can clean anything down in the inlet duct. There wasn't much of anything down there, but this is something I wanted to check since I have the access to it in case anything is being blocked. I'll just vacuum up all the lint I removed, put the back of the inlet cover followed by the condenser cover. With the tabs on the bottom, it just pops right back in, and then I'll secure it back in place. When reinserting the lint cover, check the alignment with both the filter and the tabs in back. If this is off just a little, like this, it can get stuck and then I'd have to forcibly remove it. One last filter I want to clean is the drain pump filter in the bottom left corner. I'm going to put down a towel and use a shallow bowl to drain out any of the water. Remove the hose and drain the water from the line first before unscrewing the filter, otherwise all this water will come out of the filter and make a mess. Once it's drained, put the cap back on and back into the clip. Be careful, sometimes these hoses can retract inside the washer and you'd have to use like a needle nose pliers or something to fish it out. Now unscrew the filter and check for any lint or items that might have been in a pocket that got washed. This has a bunch of lint, so I'm going to rinse it and scrub it off. Once it's clean, screw it back in tight. One more tip is if you notice any lint on the door or gasket, just take a wet towel or a rag and wipe it off when you start to see it build up. This is some good preventative maintenance since this lint is going to need to go somewhere, and keeping the door and gasket clean may help prevent future clogs. So after I've checked all the maintenance and I'm still having issues, I'm going to double check how the drain hose is installed behind the combo. I don't want this to be too high. LG recommends the best height is 66 inches. I want to check for loops or kinks or anything that might be causing it to be blocked or making it harder to drain. I would also advise that you avoid extending the drain hose. The longer it is, the harder the pump has to work to push out the water and lint, and it could also open me up to having water or clogs in the line. Now that I've done my installation check, I can go ahead and look at loading the washer. Now, washing machine drum sizes are smaller than dryer drums, even though they might not look like it. The reason for this is it allows more airflow in the drying process. Since this is an all-in-one unit, obviously the drum size is the same. For this reason, I want to compensate by loading the machine up a little bit more than halfway to help the drying performance. That's it for the physical troubleshooting, and next I'm just going to walk through a couple settings that add time to your dry cycle that you might not even know about. So let's look at adding a dry cycle to a wash cycle. You just hit the dry button and it adds the dry cycle to your wash. Make sure when you select this dry that it's on normal, not energy saver. Energy saver is definitely going to take a lot longer. Other things that can contribute to having a longer cycle time is a higher soil level, adding extra rinses, or adding a steam. All of these things are going to add a lot more time to your cycle. I would recommend using a combo cycle to get better drying times and results. The spin speed is on high by default when using a combo cycle, and that's to try to spin and help remove moisture from your laundry. You'll know that a dry has been added when you see this notification on the dial. So if your spin speed is lower and then you add a dry cycle, your laundry is probably going to be more damp than if it was on a combo cycle. Using a dry only cycle alone may take more time as well due to the fact that it takes time for the circulating air to come to temperature compared to a standard dryer. Heat pump dryers and ovens are similar in this way. When you open up the door in the middle of a dry cycle, you're going to release all the hot air just like you would in an oven. It's going to take some time to recirculate the air and come back up to the proper temperature. These causes are what may lead to longer dry times. Cleaning is still going to be the #1 cause for drying delays and something that you want to remember to keep doing regularly for best performance.